truth about this place? What's the truth about the Gorge?
My favorite thing about the film is that every time I thought I knew what it was adding something else into it that makes it kind of this like genre-defying film.
Yes.
So that sort of doesn't exist in Hollywood for a reason. It's almost like traditional models wouldn't know how to sell it.
For sure.
Streaming is amazing.
Especially at this budget level. Not
only would I ask you to sort of explain it to people, that's part one of this question. Like if you could give them sort of a vision of what it actually, what all it encompasses.
I would describe it as a genre-bending, romantic sci-fi, horror, political thriller.
Boom.
Yeah.
It's almost like you've done this before in a room with very important people.
That's the first time I've said that today.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yay.
No one's asked me that. That's a good question.
Good. I also, the second part of this actually you've already touched on is like this budget is so big.
Mm-hmm.
The technology is what I wanted to nerd out with you about for a second.
Let's go.
Because if I'm understanding it right, even just a few years ago, you might have imagined this movie using kind of animation, like a previs, right? But this time it was totally different?
Well, it was for the way that we shot the Gorge itself. We built the set of the towers. So the top of the towers, big giant set in real scale. Either Anya or Miles is on the balcony. They're 40 feet off the ground because the top of that is an actual physical build. The room itself is real. And then the environment around them was a virtual environment that was built out of real photographed plates. So it wasn't a CGI surrounding environment. We went to Norway, we shot rock walls, we shot canyons, the Gorge canyons itself, we shot the sky, we shot forests, and then took that real photography and stitched it all together into a virtual environment. So when you're looking at, on the one hand, it's a virtual world, but on the other hand, it's all real images. It's real photography that we're using. And we did it in such a way that we built that before we shot the movie. So I could point the camera, for example, when they're having dinner on the balcony, I could point the camera and see exactly what the background would look like. And so I got to see what the movie would look like when it was finished, before it was finished.
Which I feel like helps not only you knowing what you actually got, but also helps them.
Oh, for sure. Absolutely. It helps an actor. It's nothing harder than acting against green screen, where you don't know what you're seeing and you're trying to imagine something, because your environment and your sense of place has a tremendous emotional impact on any conversation that you're having or anything that you're doing, so that's very helpful to actors.
Is there a little Easter egg that people can look for? Because as I'm watching, there were just like small things coming to mind. Like I cannot see a badass woman in a tank top without being like, it's Ripley. Also Sigourney Weaver's in this movie. I'm going to choose to make that an Easter egg.
Absolutely. There's a lot of small moments that draw on other movies in this, both in the filmmaking, also in the story. There's just a lot of it, and sometimes that's conscious, sometimes it's unconscious.
Sure.
There are things I've realized in post. I was like, oh, that's where I got that from, right? I think that's a good thing. You're always standing on the shoulders of giants and sometimes stealing from very obscure places.
It makes it fun. I mean,
sure, yeah. We all steal from each other. That's how art works.
Is there one that jumps out at you that you could like give to everybody watching right now?
I would probably say that the atmospheric color palette inside the Gorge was probably mostly inspired by Italian horror cinema, Bava and Argento.
Yeah. We're going to get some Argento up in there, some crazy colored gels.
When you see it, it's pretty colorful.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a great one. Thank you so much.
I only wanted to do that if the audacity of the color had story relevance, which it does. You find out later why it looks the way it looks.